Broadcasting live from LA, this is Eddie Gray. Welcome to the channel. This is a very special edition of the Logic User Guide. We got up real early this morning, have a busy day, and so of course we make time for the most important things in our life first. And so I'm here with you to share how to build a project using arrangement markers. All right, let's get ready. Here we go. All right, good morning. We got up really early today so that we can be in action. My name is Eddie Gray. This is all brought to you by Resources for the Modern Creative, and we're very excited to be able to continue on with this conversation. We talked about markers last time around, if you may have remembered, and as a part of our tradition here, one of the things that we like to do, if we ever get stumped or we're not sure about something, then we do our best to make sure that we bring it up and we try and gain some clarity. So one of the reasons I could not decipher this section of the user guide yesterday, besides my brain almost exploding from all of the, adjectives and descriptive words, they incorrectly, unless I misinterpreted, they incorrectly used the wrong keyboard modifier. So here it says when you press and hold shift, they meant command after clicking the holding the cycle. The cycle can be moved horizontally and then dragged to a marker in one go. So this one I could not hack, and I'll try and do it again, but the second one I could. So it says here that when you press and hold shift, and then again they meant command, the nearest cycle border is set to the click position. So when we go over here into the global markers, key command G, and I'll resize this. And again, they're saying here to hold shift, but really if you hold command, that's what they're referring to, right? So we can click and create the border, the left or right border. Now what's interesting is if I hold command and then shift, it seems that the converse is true, right? We could now extend this out this way in one click. So for example, I can set it there. I can also set it there. So yeah, that is how that works depending on where you are in that continuum. Now again, to go back to the first description, claim is that you can hold shift after clicking and holding the cycle. So I'll try command and shift after clicking and holding the cycle. Again, then I'll move left or right, and then I'll drag to a marker, and then drag to a marker in one go. Okay, so and maybe I should make one more marker just to try and really see what this is all about. So I will click, I will hold command, and then I will, nope, that does something different altogether. So I don't know if you guys noticed, but the the color of the cycle regions changed, and we're using a technique called swap left and right locators. And so if you control click the cycle region, you'll find it here. And so that's not going to help, but perhaps if I hold command and shift, then we can get the behavior that we're looking for. Not at all. It actually just completely reset my cycle region. So yeah, still not sure about what the first sentence means. If you guys find something different, please hit us up in the comments. All right, so we're going to build a project with arrangement markers as stated. Now, some of the cool things about this section here, and I'm going to disable some of the global lanes that we don't need, in this case tempo. I do want arrangement. I don't need signature at this time, but we can click, hold, drag up to an arrangement and create arrangement markers this way. So that's pretty sweet. You can also click, hold, and create cycle regions this way as well. Same goes for arrangement markers. Now let's say I had a fair amount of markers pre-laid out. I can also go here to the marker set and convert two arrangement markers in order to create a set automatically. So that's a really nice workflow. I want to know what else we can do and how else we can best utilize this feature in Logic Pro. All right, you can add arrangement markers to a project to create different sections, such as an intro, verse, and chorus, and then move the section to the tracks area to quickly rearrange the project. Arrangement markers can be particularly useful when you have added some material to the project and want to try out different arrangements. Okay, so they're kind of giving you the main theme, right? What should we pay attention to? Saying, hey, if you want to quickly arrange and try out different arrangements, this is probably the best way to do it. By default, arrangement markers are 8 bars long. So if we click on the Add Arrangement Marker button, you'll find that they are by default 8 bars long. Let's see if this is still true today. So if I click here, let me just make sure this has been deleted. Okay. All right. In fact, 8 bars. The first arrangement marker begins at the start of the project. All right. So again, something else to look at. You can't just start at a bar 5, right? It's different than markers in that way. Markers are not necessarily locked to the project timeline, but here this is a little bit different. Each additional arrangement marker you add starts at the end of the previous one with no space in between. Please bear in mind that you really want to make sure that your snap to grid is set here, because if these are off, even by a couple of ticks or divisions, it will quite negatively and adversely affect your sessions. So when you're making your choices here and your decisions, make sure you are set to bar, and perhaps even snap regions to absolute value to make sure that you are really locked in to the actual bar. It doesn't look like it's actually utilizing the snap regions to relative or absolute value, but just in case, just make sure that when you read the help tag, it says length, in this case 8 bars, but it could be 4 or 2, 8, 0, 0, 0. By default, the arrangement markers, yep, we read that. Each additional arrangement marker you add starts at the end of the previous one. You add and edit arrangement markers in the arrangement track, which appears at the top of the tracks area. Okay, you can resize it to cover the section of the project that you want it to include and rename it to reflect its place. So let me add another one of these, and you'll notice that it just begins right away, right? It has nothing to do with the playhead position, as opposed to the marker lane, which does have that kind of behavior. So it says here that we can rename. So let's say we call this verse, right? And then maybe this one also needs to be renamed. Okay, so that's one way to do that. There was something else here. What was it? You can resize it to cover the section of the project that you want it to include. Oh, right. You can resize. So if we just hover over here, that can be done in that way. Now, the beauty here, and I should probably start a new session for this, but is you know what? Let me just see if I can hide these tracks. I think this would be really useful. And then maybe I'll just turn off a couple of these plugins. Okay, so the beauty here is that as soon as I start to add drummer, look at what happens here, okay? So I've created a drummer track, and look at the specificity here. Drummer is following the arrangement markers. Now, if I had another one of these set, and let's just say this was the hook, then again, we can hit that button right there, which will basically populate a single drummer region. And if I start from scratch, let's delete these. I'll control click on the track itself or the lane, and I will populate with drummer regions. And what happens is it begins to follow the timeline of the arrangement markers. So you can see progressively our verse, or, you know, this probably would be better named intro, right? is quiet, right? It's not as loud. Check out the intro. Good. When we get to the verse, this behavior changes, right? We see that things get louder. If you look at the drummer editor, the snare has been added. If you look at the XY pad here, the settings are a little bit more dynamic. Let's check this out. Okay, so that makes sense, right? And then when I get to the chorus, it's really the same thing. It just gets a little louder still. Let's check this out. Okay, now I have a pretty slow tempo here, but I'm just kind of pointing out the fact that these are conforming and lining up with the arrangement markers. Okay, and then something else that they're adding here is not only are they added, but they obviously coincide with the length and the name of the regions corresponding to the markers. For example, if we look at the name here, it says verse, right? If we look at the name here, it also says verse, and then here it says chorus. This should say intro. Maybe that's because I renamed it earlier. But yes, let me see if I could do this one more time. See, now it says intro. All right, so key command G is going to show the arrangement markers. We can create arrangement sets. We can resize the arrangement markers, rename them. Looks like we can double click to rename, get the text entry box in this manner. That's pretty cool. Let me see here. What else we got? Oh, 1 second, guys. All right. Edit arrangement markers in Logic Pro. After you add arrangement markers to the arrangement track, you can use them to rearrange the project as stated. We can then delete, copy, paste. When you move or copy an arrangement marker, all of the regions in that section are moved or copied. That's the beautiful part about here, okay? And the automation points on every automation curve in the section. So this is cool. Not only are we getting the information within the arrangement marker, but we're getting the automation. If any tracks in the project are locked, you should unlock them clearly. You can also disconnect arrangement markers from the project so you can move, resize, or delete them without affecting the underlying content. All right. So if I control click, if I go to the up and down arrow menu, we can suspend content connection, right? So that's where you would go. But let's be clear about something. If I wanted to, and you know what, I should probably drag in just anything really quick. Let's just drag something in. Okay, and then maybe just by way of example, I'll drag in one more thing here. Okay. All right, so I'll drag this intro and I'll drag it to the end here, and you'll see that the content has moved over, right? So the verse has this specific software instrument, MIDI region. The intro has this one, and the chorus has nothing, right? So if I move the chorus to the end, you'll see that basically everything has been rearranged. Regardless of my shuffle mode, everything is kind of happening by itself. Notice the markers are unaffected by the behavior here, right? So the markers have one purpose. And again, there's no one way to do it, but the markers have one purpose. It could be visual stimuli. It could be notes that you're writing to yourself and a collaborator, whereas the arrangement markers are very purposeful in how they move your song data. Okay, so I want to be clear about that. So we're moving the verse to the beginning, then it's the chorus, and then the intro, right? And so we can create an arrangement set. So I'll say, hey, I want a new set. I want to try something new out, new set. And so then now, again, I can create this freely, right? Let's see if I control click. Is there any other behavior here? No. So we're just going to click 1, 2, 3 times over, and the same thing begins where we can just move and arrange everything. Now it claims that we can move automation data as well. So let's go ahead and try this out. So in fact, let me use panning on this one so that I don't get mixed up. Okay, good. All right, so if I drag the intro to the end, we should see the automation move as well. Yep, it is right there. Okay, good. All right, what else? You can also, yep, okay, we talked about that. It says to select multiple arrange markers, we can hold shift, right? And I would assume that we can, yeah, there's no way of deselecting one of them. You're either going to select one, the other, or all of them together. And that actually makes sense in terms of arrangement, right? You cannot select non-contiguous arrangement markers. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight that. All right, when you move an arrangement marker between two existing arrangement markers, the marker moves to the right, makes room for the new marker when you drag one. So we understand how this all works and how all the content is swapped. Let's go to page 716. If you want to copy an arrangement marker, looks like we can quite literally option drag this over. And now I have not swapped, but I've merely copied the verse. In this case, let's do the chorus, drag it over here. You can see that behavior. It's all predictable. We can delete arrangement markers by simply hitting delete. Press delete again to delete the arrangement marker. In case you accidentally delete regions that you want to keep, use undo. So for example, if I want to delete the chorus, right, it first deletes the content within the chorus, and then it will actually delete the arrangement marker. So be aware of that. Let's do the intro here. So again, content deleted, arrangement marker should be deleted now. No, it's not doing it for some reason. Okay, good. Let's try this one. Content. And okay, it was working a second ago, but it's just not doing it now. Okay, so that one is working for some reason, but and I wonder if this has to do anything with the marker here. So let me just resize this. Okay, so let's try this one more time. I will delete. No. So some kind of bug going on there, but if you try it on your end, I'm sure it'll work just fine. When you move or delete an arrangement marker, the sections to the right move to the left. So yeah, essentially there will be no empty space if you are deleting arrangement markers. The same cannot be said for just the regular markers. And then again, we talked about suspending content connection, and why that's important is, let's say we wanted to create another chorus, but without the content, I don't know, perhaps a variation on the theme, then we would go here, suspend content connection. I will drag this over to the end, and now the content has not been dragged over. And then if we want to take that feature off, we would go back to the same menu set and disable it so we can return back to our original behavior. Very good. All right, so it looks like we're going to transition into working with key signatures. So let's get right into it. Time and key signatures are global events that affect all tracks in a project. Okay, so that's the first bit of language there that we're going to look at. It's going to affect every single track in a project. When you create a new project, you can set the time and key signature in the project chooser. So that this could be done in the new tracks dialog window. When you first open up a session, you can choose sample rate, right, the key, the BPM, but we can view the time and key signatures either in the signature track, the signature list, and the score editor, and you can edit this information in a variety of ways. Okay, so let's look for signature track, signature list. Here we go. So I'll hit the key command D, and here we have the signature list, all right, inside of the list editors. Again, if I control click global markers and I enable signature, we can now access this information, which of course will coincide with the information you have here. It says that the key starts at bar 8. Of course, this information, can be altered, and so we're going to work on that. You see now I just moved it over to bar 1. Okay, so let's learn a little bit more about this, and so we can make the most of our time together. I'm just going to disable the rest of the global tracks so we can just really look at the information we need to look at. Okay, let's keep going here. Let's see. The initial time and key signature are project properties. Okay, so when we set this, obviously it's on a per project basis. Okay. As always, turn on advanced tools. We've been mentioning this for the entire series, page 716. The time signature is going to determine the number of beats in each bar, right? So if we're using 4/4, it's probably the most common. I would say people use it, 80, 90% of the time. And then if we want to use something a little different with a bit more of a shuffle, then we would use 6/8 or 3/4, right? And so rather than the bar being determined by 4 counts or 4 beats, now it's either 3 or 6. Okay, so the time signature changes do not affect the playback of audio. Okay, so if you change the time signature, right, you have a song in 4/4, you change it to 7/8, it's not necessarily going to affect anything that you are hearing back. It's more of an indicator or a guide, if you will. So I just want to be clear about that. And so what does it say here? Tracks area and the time-based editors. So this is really just going to affect the grid, the audio track editor, the piano roll editor, etc., etc. Okay, let's read a little further here. In addition to the ruler, the time signatures affect the score display, obviously. All functions that rely on the chosen time signature and bar positions, such as MIDI metronome click or transform window functions, are affected if bar positions are used to restrict a function to a certain part of the project. So, trying to think of how to decipher this. So yeah, if you're using MIDI transform or anything with time, it's going to be affected, because if you're telling MIDI transform to do something, I don't know, within 4 bars, and you're, in 7/8, all of that will be affected. So just consider and think about this when you set up a different time signature, right? The metronome settings will be affected, etc., etc. Key signature. When you create a project, right, every single session is in C major unless you choose something different. The initial key signature affects the playback of the Apple loops in the project. Okay, so this is important, right? Most of us think that this is aberrant behavior, but it's not. The key signature is going to determine the playback of the Apple loops. Key signature changes affect the display of MIDI notes in the score editor, but do not have an effect on MIDI playback. Okay, so that right there is a gold mine, because I know a lot of people will change their key and they ask, well, why isn't anything happening in the background? Well, again, that's because they do not have an effect on MIDI playback. You can add any number of key signature changes to a project. When you add a key signature, it changes the key from the insertion point forward until the next key signature change is reached. You can store up to 9 signature sets. So that's pretty cool. Let me go ahead and highlight that. So if we go here into signature, it looks like we can create sets. And why this is important, you want to try out different singers, you want to try out different modulations, what have you. Transpositions, you would try that here. So let's see, if I'm on bar 17 and I want to change the key, if I click on that plus symbol right there, you can see that, we can change the time signature here, but how do I change the key? And that's where we go into next. So let's see, anything else here? Nope, this is all standard stuff. Looks like we can shift double click the signature track. And what is that going to do? It's going to open it. Okay, let's try that out. So let me shift double click. Oh, okay, that's pretty cool. I didn't know you could do that. Okay, good. I'm wondering if I just double click, then I can start to insert values. What if I double click the key? Okay, and this is how perhaps we can change the key. Bar 17, double click, and here we'll go up a whole step to D major. And let's see, has anything changed? Nothing has changed, it seems like. We'll try this again. Nothing has changed. Why is that? Right, if I go to D, we see that the time has changed. I can just delete that, but we see that the key of the overall project changed. But what if we just wanted it to change at bar 17, right? What's the difference? Well, I believe that there's another workflow here that is going to require a tool, the pencil tool to be specific, but let's keep going here. All right, so we know how to do that. So creating a time signature, we could do that with the plus symbol on the signature list. In the score editor, you would drag the time signature symbol from the part box, click the target time position in the signature track with the pencil tool, right? So that would be, hold on, here. And so if we wanted, we can also use that methodology, or again, we could just double click, right? But again, that still begs the question, how do I change the information here? And so we're going to have to look into that, because it seems like, there we go. That seems a little bit better. So let's see if I double click and I change the key to, let's do F. That's changing it for the entire project. And so when I use the pencil tool, it was working nicely. And so let's make some distinctions here. You can enter a beat for group. So this is where you would set the time signature. Okay, you can also change the automatic beaming. Instead of the two groups displayed as a default. Let's see, is there anything else here? Select the hide signature checkbox to hide a time signature change in the score printout. Why would you do that? Overlap notes on the screen. Oh, okay. So this is a visual thing. This can be used for notating cadenza-like passages. All right. So for those of you that need that, check that out. Let's see. The sum is displayed at the. Okay, good. Let's keep going. See if there's anything else that's important here. All right. So key signature. This is the important part. So we usually have one key signature that lasts the entire project. Now, of course, the more sophisticated it gets, the more intricate it gets, we can change that. And it's a good practice when you're first starting to venture into new roads to follow all the details and do everything you can and learn everything you can in order to start to implement. So we can click the word time signature and choose key from the pop-up menu inside of the, I would assume this is, the signature list. So I'm going to click here, and I don't see anything about key here. We're looking at the time signature, right? So I wonder if we go to edit. No, there's nothing here that, okay, so there it is right there. So again, that's tough to find unless you kind of know what to look for. And look, truth be told, never even knew that it was laid out like this. Every time I would change the key for my song, I would simply access the pencil tool, and I would just go up here and I would change it this way. But nice to know that you can actually change from time to key, and then depending on where the playhead is located, as soon as I hit that plus symbol, now we are changing the key, in fact. So that's a great find. In fact, I'm going to highlight that. What else can we do? Again, the pencil tool is going to yield the same result. You may need to expand the signature track until you separate areas for time and key signature. So something that some of you may find is if this is really compressed, you won't really see one or the other. It just looks like, one lane. But as soon as I expand out, you can see the time and key signature. We can also disable BBX, so like flats, double flats, natural. You can do all this here. So if you, if you're into that, for cats that know a little bit more about theory, you can go ahead and disable it. What else? You may need to expand. Good. Okay. Let's keep going here. In the signature track, you can also select multiple signatures in conjunction with regions. Why is this useful? When you want to copy or move complete parts of a song, you can select parts of the project to copy or move using edit, select all inside locators. So let's say I wanted to take all the information from bar 1 to bar 9. I could control click and it would be copy section between locators. I just want to make sure that's what they're saying here. Or select all inside locators command. So if I go to edit, select all inside locators command. I don't see that. Where is that? Select all inside locators. So select all the information inside locators. Why don't I go ahead and hit that? Okay, so it selected this, and I wonder, I go to edit, what I just put, paste, replace. Let's see what happens here. Okay, not sure what just happened there. I thought I was going to see all of it being pasted there. If I hit Command V, no, it's the same. I can see it says 4.4 here. Paste, replace. Nope. Okay, so there's something here. When a marquee selection is active, using this command sets the marquee selection to match the locators. So you can, using this command sets the marquee selection to match the locators. Select all in. Okay, so let me see what this means. If I go here, I hit Shift 8. What was the key command? Edit. Select. Oh, L. Okay, so what did that do? It's interesting. So let me say create a marquee selection. Shift L. I can see that it selected everything inside here. I'll do the same on this side. Shift L. Yeah, I'm not sure what that would be useful for. Maybe it's because the cycle region. Yeah, I think it has to do with that. Let me hit Shift L again. Here, let's go Shift L. Yeah, it's unclear to me what this is for and why I would use it. Again, I'll try one more time. Shift L. So yeah, something to do with basically selecting everything with, inside of the locators. Still not seeing the usage, but it says here that you can copy time signatures and key signatures in the signature track. Also copy all time key signatures from one project to another. I wonder if you would do that by importing. Subsequent signatures are inserted at bar positions that correspond to the original distance from the first copied signature. So, yeah, still unclear about this. If you guys know a little bit more about this, let me know. Why would I use edit, select all inside locators command? I'm sure there's something there, but as far as the user guide goes, it says that you can also select multiple signatures in conjunction with regions. So I would assume that basically I can copy these and place them somewhere else. I wonder if I just hold Option, if I could just literally drag this over. Yeah, it actually did do that. Let me see if the same goes the other way. If I hold Option, drag to the left, yeah, it just literally replaces it. Let me try the 5-4 time signature. Same thing here. So yeah, Shift L selects both of these. I guess I'll hit Command C. Let me go to the beginning of the track here, and let's see if I hit Command V. Yeah, it just brings all that information over. I'll try this one more time. Shift L. Well, I guess the cycle locators are here. Maybe I should move that way. So Shift L, Command C. That's everything inside of the locators. In fact, why don't I just do that? Okay, so then I think this is what it is. You're trying to bring everything from bar 1 to bar 9, including the global information, in this case, signature and key. Command V is going to replicate that. That makes complete sense. All right, let's go to page 720. You want to edit the time signature. You can double click as mentioned. So wait, hold on. In the signature track, we can double click either the key. Wait. Yeah, you can double click the key, or that's pretty cool. Kind of highlights what it's showing you. All right, so if you want to make some edits, we can double click here inside of the signature track. We can also, make changes up here as well. You can change the position as far as its timing. I don't see a way to change the type, but certainly we can change the time signature here. Let's say I wanted this to be 8-4. You see, I change the time signature there by double clicking. You can change the key. All right, let's keep going. For projects with a single time signature, let me go ahead and delete these. It says that we can change the key simply by going up here and just changing it like so. See that reflected inside of the key signature. For projects with multiple time signatures, move the playhead and choose a new signature from the LCD. Okay, so going back to my previous example, if I'm on the first, I can change that to, let's say, C#. Is that reflected? It is. And then I'll move the playhead over to bar 17, and it looks like we can change the key signature here, C minor. Cool. That's pretty nice. I had no idea you could do that. Choose. Actually not a bad way to do it. I always thought it was a little clunky, but now, having the right information in front of me, this is great. Move a signature. Select a time and drag it to a new position. Okay, let's try that out. So let's say I want the 8-4 signature to start at bar 11. We can do it that way. What about the key? Does the same apply? Oh, it does. Nice. Okay. Split. In the Logic Pro signature track, use the scissor tool. For example, to divide a 1-5-4 measure into 3 and 2-4, cut the measures at the 4th beat. Whoa, wait, where do we do this? In the signature track? Okay. So let me change this back to, change this to 5-4. So I'm going to make this 5-4. Okay. And then it says to use the scissor tool, so TS for me. And all right, wow, this does the math for you? Jeez. This is intense. It knows what to do. I don't know if this is based on my snap to grid setting. I would assume it is, but this is wildly intelligent. Can I use the marquee tool as well, or doesn't seem like it? This is absolutely great. I didn't know you could use the scissor tool in this way. Pretty cool. I don't think that applies here. Let me reset values. Okay. So we can split signatures, right? If you cut in the middle of the bar, in a section where the time signature doesn't change, 2 corresponding shorter measures are inserted with the original time. There may be, I know there's been times I've done this and I've had to laboriously, change like this specific time. I didn't know you could use the scissor tool to aid in that process. Let me see if I could change beat. Yeah. So that would have been nice to know at the time, but it's all good. So let's move here, for example. Say you were trying to add an interesting, kind of time differential, maybe from 3-4 here. And this could just be strictly visual too, where you have a break, but that's some cool stuff there. Didn't know you could do that. Merge, we can shift click with the glue tool. All right, so let's TG. I have the glue tool accessible to me. So again, if I hold shift, it does in fact glue everything. Nice. That's new to me. Looks like we have the ability to copy signatures in a project. Right, copy C, copy V. Let's see if this is true. So I'll take the copy C, and then I'll maybe move over here somewhere, copy V. Maybe I'll do that. Copy. Not seeing the flow. Let me see. Copy C, copy V. Okay, yeah. So you would copy C from here, and then wherever the playhead is located, copy V. That works quite nicely. I don't know if you could drag from here, but anyhow, let's keep going. The signature track, yeah, move the playhead to the insert position and then copy V. In the signature list, yeah, same thing. Let me just do this one time over here. So 8-4, copy C, we're here, and boom. Okay, good. So then I'll double click. Let me edit this to 7-4. Okay, it's a nice workflow. All right, 721. Deleting signatures, right? So if I click on this one, let's say, and I want to delete it, simple as that. We could do this inside the signature list editor, or we could just do this in the global tracks. So let's say I wanted to delete the signature G. We can do it just like that. Let's take out 4-4, just like that. To erase all time signatures, select the signature, edit. Okay, so we go to edit, select similar objects. Hold on, if I go here, edit, select similar objects. I don't see that in here. I mean, I'm pretty sure you could just copy all this and delete it, but I would assume maybe they're talking about this menu bar, select similar objects. Yeah, I don't see that option. Again, I could just be looking in the wrong place, but as of right now, yeah, let me just cross that out. All right, let's finish off with signature sets and why this is important. Experimentation. Again, you have another singer that you want to use. They sing in a different key. All right, when you create a new signature set, the previously added signature changes are no longer visible. When you create new signatures, they become a part of the current signature set. The initial time and key signature are always visible. We want to rename, we can choose a signature set as before. This is kind of true across the board, right? Where we'll just hit test here, and we can now try out untitled test. We can duplicate this if we wanted to, and we can play with test 2, and we can rename, so on and so forth. 722. Okay. The next time I see you guys, we're going to be working with tempo. What specifically, you ask? Well, we're going to be working with the tempo track. Let's see, learning how to really utilize the tempo. If there was one of these sections that you want to pay particular attention to, it certainly is the tempo track. This is what's going to make the biggest difference as far as your music playback goes. And so look at this. There's ways to edit the value of tempos, apply smoothing techniques. So I want you to stay tuned for that. If you are enjoying the content, all I ask is that you share this with one other creative. It takes a tremendous amount of effort, coordination to keep the channel going. And I'm so grateful that you guys have created this with us simply because we're having people reach out to us now to create content. And so thank you for helping us do something useful during our time here. We look at this like a window of opportunity. We know that this will not always be the case, and we won't always be able to serve in this manner. But again, thank you very much for the opportunity to learn and grow with you. We don't take it for granted. Wishing you the very best day. We'll catch you tomorrow when we work with tempo. Take care.